Welcome to the Porecast. I'm your host, Carly Harmson. As a licensed master esthetician with nearly 2 decades of experience, I feel confident to meet you here every week to educate about the latest trends and must-have skin treatments, as well as to decode the science and demystify the overwhelming world of skincare. Whether you're a wide-eyed, curious beginner or you're a veteran skincare pro, this is the podcast for you. So grab your favorite face mask and come discover with me someone who's not only a skincare guru, but also a card-carrying member of Skincare Obsessed, just like you. Get ready for this episode of the podcast, starting now. Welcome back. If you are joining me each and every week, thank you. I love that you're here. And if you do find yourself here each week with me and haven't left a 5-star written review, I would appreciate it so much. It does make all the difference. Every podcaster says it, but I promise you, your little review makes a world of difference. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I invite you to go back to a couple of my top performing episodes, including Skinfluenced and the Retinol Revolution Part 1 and Part 2. Okay, let's get right into it. Today we're going to do something a little different, new to the podcast, and it is a segment called Ask the Besthetician. If you don't know, my brand is the Besthetician. I've been online as the Besthetician since 2017. You can find me on socials as the Besthetician, and my website is also www.thebesthetician.com. Yes, I know it is quite a claim. I thought it was clever when I had spent almost 15 years in the industry in leadership and education roles. So I did self-proclaim, but really what I want to do today is kind of like a old school style radio program where listeners submit questions. And so I had posed on my socials as well as in a couple of skincare forum groups that I participate in. Essentially, ask me anything related to skin health, skin care, and skin products, and skin ingredients, skincare treatments, skincare trends, and really anything along those lines is totally acceptable. So, as mentioned, today's questions come in from a variety of different places when I posed this question a couple weeks ago. So, let's get right into the submission questions. All right, the first question that came in says, how do you explain the importance of esthetician recommended home care? And I was excited to see this question because in a lot of these skincare forums that I'm in, I have noticed there is a little bit of a trend of the end consumer talking about estheticians just trying to get a sell, estheticians that don't really care about your skin and just want to get product out the door, estheticians as used car salesmen. What else? I have straight up heard a content creator just the other day on TikTok say that people that are trying to sell you skincare are lying to you. And this could not be further from the truth. So I want to take a moment and just talk about why there is a value, an immense value, by having a skincare professional recommend you product and home care. Before I do this, in 3 major reasons why I believe that esthetician recommended home care is superior. Yes, I'm biased. I am an esthetician. I do want to just highlight another question that came in and I'm not like fully diving into, which was I've heard conflicting opinions from my esthetician and my dermatologist. Who should I listen to? Well, at the end of the day, your dermatologist. Dermatologists are medical professionals that are highly specialized. A lot of people don't know this about dermatology, but those that get into that specialty are at the highest of their class in med school. They are the sharpest of sharp, the smartest of smart, and always defer to their advice over anyone else. They are trained in the health and safety of your skin. They are trained to diagnose disorders and diseases and then treat those disorders and diseases. Where your esthetician is trained in the superficiality of skin, in the way that the skin appears, And those top few layers is really where we're to work. With that being said, there can be a great marriage between a dermatologist and an esthetician, which is why you're seeing more and more dermatology offices bringing in estheticians. Because as I mentioned, dermatology is the medicine of diagnosing and treating skin disorders and diseases, as well as hair issues and nail issues. But your esthetician is going to be a little, I think, more well versed in just the overall like maintenance of your skin. So I think an esthetician is the perfect person to recommend a home care routine that's going to fit into your lifestyle, in your budget, with your unique skincare needs in mind. And so a lot of times we'll see this really beautiful synergistic relationship between an esthetician and a dermatologist. So, back to the question, how do you explain the importance of esthetician recommended home care? There's three major points that I would like to share. And of course, there is more to it, but just to keep this as concise as possible, which, if you know me, it's not the easiest thing for me to do, but I'm going to do my best. Number one, they are trained again in that superficial appearance of skin, which is what most people are concerned about, fortunately or unfortunately, right? They're more concerned with the way that their skin looks on the daily than getting their 6 month skin cancer check. That's just the reality. I'm not condoning it, I'm not endorsing it. I'm just saying. Your esthetician is going to be really well trained, hopefully, on, the proper treatments in office or in treatment room, and also for daily consistent use at home. They understand ingredients and cause and effect of those ingredients. So they can really customize a home care routine to your unique situation. Like I said, including skin condition, skin type, goals, lifestyle, budget, all of that. So that's the number one thing there, is that most estheticians I know, they sleep, eat, drink skin. No, not really, but you know what I'm saying. That's their full focus, is the appearance and vitality of the skin. Number two, they are trained, many of them, across multiple skincare brands. And after they receive their license, most are required to continue education. So they're always going to keep their skills sharp. They're going to hopefully know the latest and greatest. And I know I'm generalizing. There's some really, really amazing estheticians out there. And there's also some that are just like eking by, but such is life. The ones I'm talking about, if they're not required to have continuing education, they are investing in it. They are very knowledgeable. They know the latest and greatest in technology and ingredients. And then many estheticians that work with professional skincare brands, meaning professionally dispensed or medical grade skincare brands, which are generally dispensed in more of a clinical medical setting like a med spa or a dermatology office or plastic surgeon's office, they usually are receiving initial and maybe even ongoing training from the brand educators. So they become very familiar with these products, not only because they're using them in their treatment room, but because they have that kind of insider education on how these products are going to perform and what the outcome of using them will be. And that just goes far beyond, a single person on TikTok who has randomly tried putting three like pharmacy over the counter products together. I'm looking at you, the viral TikTok trifecta that's happening right now. If you don't know what that is, it is some influencer, a couple of influencers started using Dial hand soap, antibacterial hand soap, a over-the-counter retinol product, which is fine, and then a like diabetic relief body lotion as a moisturizer. And that's it. And that's all they're using. People are losing their minds over it, both in a positive way and a negative way. It's very viral right now for good and bad reasons, apparently. And maybe at some point I'll talk about why I would not endorse this TikTok skincare trifecta, but it suffice to say for today, that was one person's experience with a collection of products. There are so many variables in those skin types, conditions, goals, needs that, it's never going to be a one size fits all. So if anybody's trying to claim a one size fits all, that's when I get a little skeptical. An esthetician can really come in and customize like no other. And then the third reason is that most estheticians will back their products that they recommend. They will either offer an exchange or a return policy if something doesn't work out. If there is any questions on a product or there's result or reaction that a client's unsure about, they can always reach out to their esthetician and get clarification. If you put a moisturizer on and you feel a little stingy, is that normal? You can just call up your esthetician, and the best estheticians actually are going to call you. They're going to call you maybe 1 to 2 weeks after they saw you in treatment and recommended products that you took home to check on you to see if those products are working out for you and to see if you have any questions. And so that is a unique experience from seeing something that your favorite beauty influencer recommends that you use their special coupon code for, and that's it. You're on your own after that. Or buying off of QVC. You can't call the salespeople that are really enticing on that QVC program and say, hey, I have some questions about these products. It's an amazing value to be able to reach out to someone and ask these questions once you get into a routine. And then I'll just add maybe a fourth note here, which is that a lot of the success of esthetician recommended skincare, whether it's again like professionally dispensed at the spa or salon, or it's recommended by your local med spa or an esthetician at your cosmetic surgeon's office, is that we are trained to put your unique recommendations into a system. And that is where a lot of the magic happens. And I'm not saying you have to have a 12-step routine. I'm saying we can put products together, even from different brands, right? We can pull from different brands and put a system together, and you're much more likely to comply and be consistent with that system, which is where the magic really happens. I always say that just kind of like in the gym, when they say if you want abs, abs are 80% in the kitchen, 20% in the gym. The same thing's true of skincare. Results in skincare is 20% in the treatment room with your esthetician and 80% at home with a highly customized, curated routine unique for you that's used consistently and daily. So hopefully that helps whoever asked this question. I'm all about professionally recommended skincare. Is La Roche-Posay overrated? So if you don't know, La Roche-Posay is a really viral, popular skincare brand right now, but it's been around for a long time. I worked with and was trained on La Roche-Posay, gosh, in 2008, 2009. I loved it then. I think it is actually, I don't think it's overrated. I think it is a good option for a lot of people. It's a really affordable price point. It's highly accessible. You can usually go pick it up at your drugstore, your CVS, Target, Walmart. And so it's a great way for people to start to enter into skincare because of its accessibility and affordability. Now, with La Roche-Posay, and another brand that's oftentimes like aligned with La Roche-Posay is called Aven. Both of these are French skincare brands that again are available at their local pharmacia. Is that what it's called? But also available here in drugstores. Is that these French brands are based on mineral thermal spring water. So there is, at least as I was trained on this almost 15 years ago, there was a whole story with that origination of the brand, which is that La Roche-Posay is actually a place in France that's got springs that are rich and abundant in these mineral thermal spring waters. And the story goes that there were hospitals that were built around this spring, and patients were treated using hydrotherapy because the soaking in these waters were very healing, especially for skin disorders and conditions and diseases. Taking that thermal spring water and then kind of making it the center of the brand is, as I understand it, where this brand began. And the brand is huge. La Roche-Posay has expanded. It's got so many products. There's something for everyone in there. I do like a lot of the products, a lot of the collections, especially for really sensitive, reactive skin. Like I would prefer this over a CeraVe or Cetaphil. I think that there's more active ingredients in the brand as a whole. So I'm a fan of it. I Of course I think there are products that might work a little bit better, that might be a little more concentrated, but for anyone to just walk in off the street, it would feel overwhelming because a lot of the words are French with English translations on the packaging, but they really truly could just like go walk in and pull product off a shelf and put together a little routine for themselves. So yeah, I'm a fan of it. As far as the thermal spring water in skincare, I do have a big, big tall can of it. It's aerosol can. I also have a mini. It's great for travel. The whole idea with that is this is just like pure, unadulterated water, which we do know even from your local municipal. Is that the word? Where you get your water locally, there have been problems like throughout at least the US where some of this water is contaminated or something like that, or really, has a lot of a certain mineral and not others, and that it can have some beauty effects like on your skin and on your hair, which is why you're seeing things like beauty shower filters that are coming out or sink filters, so that when you shower, when you wash your hair, when you wash your body, your skin, that you're getting like a more pure filtered source of water. And so that's kind of an interesting concept because water is such an important part of how we have self-hygiene practices. So yeah, that's why some people are really big fans of even just you can buy the water in an aerosol can, which some people might think is gimmicky. I like it. I use it to like activate some of my products like moisturizers rather than sticking my hand in the tap water. But, I'm a water snob. It's a little bougie. You don't need it. Okay, I want to use as few products as possible. What do you recommend for aging 40 plus skin? I mentioned this in at least a couple of episodes so far. I have what I've called the trifecta, or maybe a little more controversial for some. I will call it the Holy Trinity. So the three products that would make up this Holy Trinity are vitamin C product, so ideally in a serum form. And there are different types of vitamin C forms and different formulas and different concentrations. So if you think you can't tolerate vitamin C or it makes you break out, I promise you there is a formula out there for you. And vitamin C is the gold standard of antioxidant protection. Antioxidants, without getting into the technical definition of them, simply prevent aging. So they work in the skin by preventing aging. Vitamin C has some other benefits. I love vitamin C because it's one of the only ingredients that is both really preventative and really corrective. So prevents aging down the road, but also corrects the skin by acting as a brightener and can help with pigment, by helping with like tissue health and wound healing, by helping with, importantly, being a cofactor to make collagen. It's necessary to make collagen. So a lot of people notice like a firming effect with vitamin C or a lifting effect with vitamin C. So I'm such a fan for it. And I will do an entire episode on vitamin C. My guess it'll be a 2-part episode because it deserves that. She's that girl. So yeah, so I think vitamin C in the morning with sun protection, like a good quality SPF with good SPF or sunscreen use best practices. And then a retinol or tretinoin, depending on your skin and where you're at. So really, it's vitamin C, SPF, vitamin A. That is the Holy Trinity. Now, we can bring in other ingredients like peptides, growth factors, stem cells, highly effective clinical actives like niacinamide. Bakuchiol's on the rise. That's been really popular among this group, this early aging into aging skin. Other antioxidants, hyaluronic acid, like all of these things can be worked in. But if you want to use as few products as possible, then those are the three products you need to start with. Okay, on to the next question. What products are all hype and not necessary? It's a little bit of a vague question. So I did answer this on the forum. I'm going to answer it here too. I'm going to do it this way, which is most all hype and not necessary category of products. So when I say category, we're talking like cleansers, toners, exfoliators, serums, moisturizers, sun protection, lip product. Those are categories. So the most hyped category that to me is not necessary, or it's the least necessary when we're looking at these individual categories, is toners and essences. And with that said, I love them and I use them, but not everybody needs them. It's kind of like one of the last things that I would work into a routine for time and budget constraints. Speaking of toners first, originally toners came out as a product to amend the skin at a pH level after cleansing. So cleansers at the time originally were very like alkaline, maybe, or on the opposite end, very acidic. And so toner was to like regulate and balance the pH again. It does help though, and we don't need to do that so much today. Most cleansers are pH balanced to the skin. But today, there are benefits of a toner that they help to what we call even the porosity of the skin. What that means is they create a nice even layer of hydration so that when you go on with your next product, it just doesn't like stick to the skin and just absorb in that one spot like a serum, right? If you have an expensive serum, you want to get that nice and evenly distributed. So a toner can really help with that. A toner is another point in which hydration can be added into the skin, or like in the case of an acne toner, some acne fighting ingredients, or exfoliating toner with some acids or enzymes. So it's another opportunity to layer some actives into the skin, but it's never going to be as active as like a serum. Now, an essence, which has really rose in popularity, an essence is, I like to say, it's like as if a toner and a serum fell in love and had a baby. That would be an essence. So it's also going to help to, they're very hydrating generally. This glass skin trend that we've seen the last couple of years, a lot of this originates out of K-beauty, as does essences. Essence is going to help get us there with all of those layers of hydration. If you're into skin flooding, an essence might be a part of that practice. I love essences. I use them, but it's a little bit more of an extra bougie step. Some people think of an essence almost like a primer to the serum. Again, in the same way a toner kind of evens the porosity, an essence tends to be a little more like viscous, and it can do that as well. So it's hype. It's not necessary, but if you want to add it, great. If you have it in your routine, great. If you don't, great. You just do what you want. Okay, the next thing that I'll mention that I think is all hype and not necessary is ingredients. So there's so many ingredients out there and it's hard to narrow it to one, but if I had to right now at this moment on this day of our Lord, April 3rd, 2024, for me, it would be probiotics. Probiotics, I think, are a lot of hype because they're highly marketed, but most people don't understand how they work in skincare. And they do not work in skin or on skin like they do in like your probiotic supplement that you swallow, that you take for gut health. A lot of people conflate and think it's the same, but it's not. So we cannot reseed the skin with live bacteria from a skincare product like we can reseed the gut with a probiotic supplement. So let me explain this more. The reason we can't do that is number one, products are formulated to kill bacteria, and preservative systems can't, at least at this time, differentiate between a harmful pathogenic bacteria and a good bacteria. So do I think that we'll be able to see live probiotic in topical products or prescription transdermal creams at some point? Yeah, I do. It's just not now. It's not today. That's one big issue with probiotics in skincare. So a lot of what you see in probiotics in skincare is actually probiotic lysates, which are inanimate probiotic. They're not live. They're almost like zombie or dead probiotic, but they do still have some benefits to the skin, primarily moisture and reinforcing barrier function. So I'm not here to throw out the baby with bathwater, if you will. Speaking of bathwater, prebiotics are legit. Postbiotics are pretty cool too. Prebiotics are like the food for live bacteria. And so when we put them on our skin, we have this whole community of live bacteria. Postbiotics are kind of like the waste products, which I know sounds very crude, of a probiotic. But that waste product happens to be very rich in peptides, antioxidants, enzymes that are really beneficial to the health of the skin. We're going to throw out the baby, the probiotic in skincare, but we're going to keep that bath water, which is the prebiotic and the postbiotic. That's where the magic happens. So if you see a brand that's promoting probiotic, just know it's not that it's not beneficial. It's just, it's moisturizing and hydrating the skin. It's not putting live bacteria on the skin. We just are not there in skincare technology. It can't happen right now. And also, I will mention a lot of the probiotic that might be naturally occurring, let's say something like a lactobacillus bacteria, we have that abundant in our guts. which is why like yogurt's so good for us. But we do not have lactobacillus as a bacteria that makes up the skin microbiome. They're vastly different environments. You think of the skin as kind of like this dry, arid desert floor. The gut's like this really like humid, dark jungle. So they actually have different communities, different species, and lactobacillus does not thrive or live on the skin. So hopefully that answers that question. All right, one more product category that I will talk about that I think is hype are these really popular and trending red light wands, specifically like the Solar Wave wand. You've probably seen it has like a little tiny flat head on a wand. People will like run it over their skin. And I am a huge fan of red light. I think red light for aging, like a red light device for aging skin, is one of the best investments you can make. But the Solar Wave isn't it for me. And the reason why is because you need continuous exposure of red light. Most studies that have proven the kind of mitochondrial activation in the skin, where we really see change in, the energy output of the cells, the healing, the wound healing, recovery, the reduction in fine lines and wrinkles, the evening of skin tone. That all happens because of this activation of mitochondria. And most studies show that that starts happening at 15 minutes of continuous exposure, 6 inches or closer to the face. With that being said, huge fan of red light, not a fan of Solar Wave because people are just running it over their skin. And when I answered this question in the skincare forum that I am in, a lot of people said, well, why does my mask say 10 minutes then, if you're saying 15 to 30 minutes? And the reason why is because the manufacturers of those masks, at least this is my theory, the manufacturers of those masks are trying to sell you a mask. They're trying to get sales, where the studies that were done were trying to prove a theory. It's a lot easier to sell a mask that says just use this 10 minutes a day than use this 20 minutes a day. And that's just the reality. So if you've got a mask that says 10 minutes a day, I would just use it for 15, just to, and it's not to say that the 10 minutes today isn't giving you benefit, but the studies that have proven the benefits are at 15 to 30 minutes a day. So try to use that mask for 15 minutes a day. And I'm talking about those ones, they look like the Iron Man mask that you just stick on. I like those because they are continuous. I use the Saluma Pro, which I love, not sponsored, but it is an expensive red light device. Okay, let's go on to the next question. And I think we'll finish with this. I have a ton more, so we'll do more of these segments. And then if you ever have any questions you want me to snorkel on, then let me know. This question says, do jade rollers gua sha tools actually work, or are they a gimmick? My feeling on this is yes and no. Here's how I think they're beneficial. People that are using jade rollers and gua sha tools on their skin are doing something that feels really good to the skin. There's no doubt about that. It feels good to the skin. It might relax the muscles a little bit, which can make the skin look a little more like soft and pliable. But really, I think that when you invest into self massage, you invest time into doing self massage, it's a great act of self love, and that alone can bring radiance to the skin. Is there any therapeutic benefit beyond that? No, except if someone is using these tools as a tool of manual lymphatic drainage. So, yes, they can, if you use them properly, they can actually move stagnant fluid that's been in the tissues that kind of like harbors and hangs out in the tissues and then can make us look a little puffy. You can use these tools if you know how. And when I say that, I mean proper pressure to move that stagnant fluid, get it back into the lymphatic system to like filter, some of the toxins that maybe were like accumulating in our skin. And this can lend itself to a more sculpted, contoured, snatched jawline. Everybody's after that these days. So if you know how to use it properly in the technique of a manual lymphatic drainage, then yes, they do work. They can be highly therapeutic and detoxifying. The problem is all of these like Instagram tutorials, YouTube tutorials, TikTok tutorials, not all of them, but many of them are just showing you how to massage with them, which massaging is different than manual lymphatic drainage. And the main point of difference is pressure. Manual lymphatic drainage is very light because our lymph channels are very superficial. They are not to the muscle layers. So when you're massaging deep enough to like really get into that muscle layer, you have kind of compressed past those lymph channels. So, yeah, that's why it's a yes and no question. All right. I think I had some other things planned, but that took quite a bit of time. So I think we'll stop there. As I mentioned, if you want me to snorkel on anything else, any other topics, just DM me on Instagram or shoot me an email. If there's anything that I snorkeled today that you want me to dive in deep, then let me know that too, because I would love to deliver you guys the education and information that you're after. So thank you so much. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Thanks for tuning into the podcast. If you liked this episode, be sure to share it with a bestie or on your socials. And if you love the episode, please leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. Your positive feedback means so much to me. You can connect with me at The Real Besthetician on Instagram or The Besthetician anywhere else. And hey, babe, this week's podcast looks like clear with a chance of glow. See you next time.